All right, hello everyone. We're gonna get started here in just a second. Welcome to the second IU LOL tournament. We're gonna go over a few things real quick before we get started. So this one, there are I think 4 rounds: prelims, quarters, semis, and grand finals. So actually, let me just go ahead and show you guys the schedule first. So this is the schedule. Every round will start at the top of an hour. And then the third and fourth place match is going to take place at the same time as the grand final. The grand final is best 2 of 3, and the third and fourth place match I think is just a single game. But we'll tell you who wins that during the grand final once we figure it out. Let's take a look at the bracket real quick. This is the bracket. We have 8 teams in the preliminary round that feed into the quarterfinals, and then from there those feed into the semis, and then the loser of the semis goes to the third and fourth place match, and the winners go to the grand finals. And that again is a best 2 of 3. So without further ado, I think we're about to start a game in just a second here. The first game that we're going to be watching is the first preliminary match. It is Zelphaer versus Soboringasyou. And then let's actually get into the game. So this is going to be picks and bans. Cam, take it away.
All right, it's good to be back, guys. How's everyone doing today? So basically, I'm curious to see how well people have adapted to the new 4.5 patch since we last saw everyone play on Tuesday. The Mummy ban, I'm not sure if that's a targeted ban or if they're just looking to run a specific team comp, or maybe a Feral Flare jungler, and they take time to ramp up. And Mummy's actually pretty safe during that time, and he scales really well into the late game. And if you give him the time to do that with the Feral Flare jungler, I think that he's actually a pretty good pick against those. Ryze also scales really well, so it looks like they may be trying to do an aggressive jungler here, and they're taking out the scalers. I'm not sure exactly what their plan is, but we've got LeBlanc, Riven, and Nidalee bans. Interesting that they're kind of spread out like that. I'm assuming they're targeted.
A lot of the targets, especially the LeBlanc and Nidalee, that's kind of the 2 of the most popular mid laners right now. Nidalee brings a lot of poke with poke comps. She brings a lot of objective control. LeBlanc, very difficult to deal with in lane. She is favored in a lot of matchups. And for the last ban there, we see Annie here. So Jax is actually left open. We've seen in the past... Oh my gosh! I think it's going to be mid Soraka.
It has to be Soraka mid. I played this last night in solo queue. What? Let's just say plays. I'm sure you guys will see the video later.
Maybe if we have time between matches, we'll show Cam's highlight of his... I actually saw it earlier. It was actually pretty crazy. Cam baits the enemy mid player, jungler, and top lane.
Yeah, their whole team pretty much. Yeah,
Cam just absolutely destroys people.
Raka she's so good at baiting with the heals. I mean, she has 3 with the current heal being meta. It gives you 30% move speed boost too when you activate it to an ally and yourself. So she's really good at just baiting in and providing a lot of utility in team fights. I mean, that's kind of like a mini the Talisman of Ascension. So it's really solid, and you can see there's tons of heals coming out already.
Yeah,
and the exhaust as well.
I think we're going to see a lot of heals today. It looks like both bot lanes are going to be picked up quite early, so we're saving the mids, tops, and the jungles here for purple team. I think Alistar's a little bit premature, don't you? I think Alistar's a really good pick. You see it a lot in OGN where they pick an Alistar to counter Leona, because as soon as Leona goes in, Alistar just absolutely dumps on her.
Yeah, I think it was a little early, but they just picked the Thresh into it. And I think Alistar counters Thresh pretty well. He goes in with the hook and just knock him out right back out.
Exactly.
Or you can just pulverize him up and then headbutt him into your team, because he is very squishy early game.
Yeah, we also see Caitlyn and Ezreal, probably 2 of the safest AD carries
most definitely
picked at. Ezreal is extremely mobile, has tons of poke, and Caitlyn is just she has to be the safest AD carry with just her long range and.
Yeah, I think they're on the same level, just because Ezreal's movement ability is a lot lower cooldown, and it's not like a actual movement, it's just a blink. So he just shows up there, so you can't interrupt it as he's moving. Like with the Alistar, if Caitlyn nets, Alistar can pulverize as she's netting, and then completely negate the movement. And that's another reason that Alistar is a good pick here. So
and then we see
that actually worked out.
We actually see the Maokai picked up. This one's pretty interesting. This one you don't see a lot. He's been struggling a lot with mana problems. Doesn't have necessarily the fastest clear time, but it looks like Purple Team's going for a very Wombo-centric team already.
Most
You have the Orianna with her shield and her ultimate, grouping them up. Maokai can lock down someone. Maokai, I think, is one of the strongest gankers. It's just his jungle is a little bit weak at the moment.
His ganks are incredible because not only can you snare somebody, you can knock them into your team and slow them and do some solid damage. He's actually also a perfect ball delivery system for Orianna. You just W onto someone in the middle of their team. Boom, everyone blows up, and then Alistar gets a 5-man pulverize. So right now, I really like the combo coming out of Purple Team. We'll have to see how they finish it off in the top lane.
We see Nasus is actually locked in with the teleport right there, and we see a Vi jungle too. Vi we haven't seen in quite some time. Yes, you see her here and there, but it's a pretty interesting team because you have a lot of safe lanes, and then you have Vi, which is kind of a very aggressive jungler around 6. And not necessarily all these lanes don't really hit their power spike around 6 like Vi does. So it'll be very interesting to see how the ganks work out, what Vi can do. Maybe she'll go and encounter jungle Maokai or something like that. Blue team necessarily shouldn't really lose their lanes per se, just because they're all really safe lanes.
I expect Vi to go for invading. If you look at the lanes that they're already gank, you can't really get, I mean, you could try and gank an Alistar Ezreal. That sounds incredibly difficult. An Orianna, maybe, but you have Soraka with you, so that's really difficult as well. And then we'll see Jax. I mean, that's almost ungankable.
This is really interesting. I can't believe Jax got
let
through on the last pick too. And I think Jax is actually a really good pick against Nasus too.
Yeah, it lets him scale pretty easily because Nasus is not a bully at all.
Yeah, the thing is Nasus needs to be in the minion wave and last hitting stuff. But Jax, you never want to fight a Jax in him after he's been farming because he stacks up his passive and he gets a lot of attack speed just from clearing minions. So if Jax can push that lane a little bit, which I think he probably will, with just kind of using the harass to get Nasus out of the way. It's going to bring Vi a lot top, and it's really going to open up the other lanes to be a lot safer, I think.
Yeah, and because of how weak Nasus is early game, you have to think about this when you're playing jungles. Can you win the 2v2 with the other jungler? And even though Maokai's kind of weak damage-wise early, Jax just brings so much damage that I think they could win that 2v2, even though it's Vi early, which is, I mean, that's saying a lot, but if they can burst one of them out, then I think Purple Team could win the 2v2 in all possibility, which would be huge for them.
Yeah, and with the new trinket changes too, we've seen a lot with these 4-man, 2-tower pushes going on. Do you think we're going to see that a lot in this game right here?
I don't know. I honestly think that would be a bit of a mistake for whatever team did it.
I think Blue Team really wants to match up head-to-head, just because they have such safe lanes. Even Nasus, even though he's probably going to be a little bit weak against Jax, it's still relatively a safe lane for him. They definitely want to match up straight on head-to-head and not let any objectives get out of hand very early. Because Nasus, he's just kind of a ticking time bomb. Yeah. So is Jax as well. I mean, the top laners, that's going to be really interesting. It's going to be kind of a wet noodle fight. Maybe Jax gets some early kills in the mid-game. Jax starts to really increase his power a little bit sooner than Nasus, but Nasus, I think, has one of the scariest late games as well. So it's really kind of a ticking time bomb in the top lane right there.
I think if any team were to lane swap and want to get the advantage from that, it would be Blue Team, because if Purple Team lane swaps, they can stop Nasus, but then they sacrifice their Jax for that. And is that really worth it? No. So if any team did lane swap, I would expect it to be Blue Team and trying to deny Jax as much farm as possible. But then you leave Nasus in the bot lane, and you're like, sorry, man, you're not going to get any Q stacks. So probably not going to happen here.
And just in team synergy, too, just taking a quick glance at the teams. Obviously, Soraka brings a lot of AoE damage. Vi has just very hard engage. Nasus can flank in and do a lot of damage to the backside. Thresh with a lot of utility. Caitlyn with a lot of poke. But if you look, it's kind of a hodgepodge, kind of a mixed bag of everything that you want in a team. But you look at Purple Team, it is extremely wombo. Jax with a leap in, Counter-Strike stun, maybe. Yeah. Orianna with her ball. Maokai going in, and he doesn't necessarily group everyone up, but he's going to get into the middle of the team, no doubt. And then Ezreal also with equal amounts of safe poke, and then he also has his AoE ultimate. Alistair with the headbutt pulverize.
Yeah, there's a
Blue
lot of
team groups up at all, the fight's going to go very poorly for them.
And There's also, I mean, if you look at it, there's a lot of peel on both sides. So I expect these fights, if played correctly by both teams, to be very, extended, and the carries getting protected for a while. I mean, you have the Thresh Flay, you've got endless heals from Soraka. Vi can actually peel pretty darn well with her Q and ulti, and Nasus has the Wither, obviously, which can shut you down very easily. And then you have Ezreal, who can peel for himself on a very low cooldown with his Arcane Shift. You've got Headbutt and Pulverize, both great peeling tools. Orianna can give you shields and speed you up and slow the enemy, and Maokai can root you. So I expect these fights to just be a lot of people throwing things and not really able to get on top of each other. But we'll see how they end up fighting it out. And if Jax gets big, I think that's going to be pretty telling to who wins the game here.
Yeah, and I definitely think too, if you look at if you try and anticipate the dynamic of the game and how the early and mid games will go out, it looks like we're about to get into game here. Let me switch this over real quick and then I'll finish my point.
Who are the top players in this game? People are wondering.
I honestly don't know.
All right, well, maybe we'll see from their borders, huh?
Maybe.
That might do the trick for us.
But if you look at kind of the dynamic of the teams here, if this ever loads, which it will in just a second, the safe lanes that we saw on blue team, and then in contrast that with the very strong team play from purple team, blue team's going to want to stall out the game just because their lanes are safe. They don't really hit their power spikes until about the mid-late game, but that plays right into the hands of the blue team because they want to team fight. And to team fight, obviously, yeah, they could group up very early, maybe take a few objectives, but the longer the game goes on, the more that team fights come into play, and that's just going to play even more into the strength of purple team.
Yeah, I completely agree. I honestly, something that I would like to see here would have been a Shaco jungle, just so you can just give him the ball and he could just stealth into the whole team and just explode out of nowhere.
Yeah, and
that would have been quite fun, but we don't get the opportunity to see that this time around.
Shaco is very, very scary for a jungler. And it looks like I just got a text. It looks like all the first 4 games are underway right now. So we'll update the bracket in between games. We'll give you info as we get. Yes, we'll get you infos as we get them. I have my phone on handy here, getting texted all the results as they come in, and we'll just keep you guys updated throughout the day.
And so we also have Jax here with an Ignite to the teleport of Nasus. And obviously it goes for the flash, but I'm just not going to even mention that right now. But so there's a teleport up on Nasus, so I imagine him to just try and sit there, farm all day long, get huge, and try and be the split pusher who can just insta-kill towers with his Q and maybe a Trinity Force, and then just teleport in, forcing Jax to stay there and cause a 4v5 elsewhere on the map, or give him free objectives. So I think that's going to work out well if Nasus does get can survive in lane versus the Jax. And we have a heal mid versus an Ignite. And in that matchup, I think Orianna does pretty well against Soraka, because Soraka's usually a pretty hard lane bully. Because of her Q, she can just shove waves all day. Even starting at level 1, she's shoving you to tower. But once Orianna gets a few levels in her, she'll be able to wave clear at tower. And that's going to make it a lot easier on her, and she's not going to lose quite as much CS to the tower. And let's see, we have double heal bot lane. Okay, so Alistar ended up not going for the exhaust. They don't have a ton of burst damage on blue team, and that's really what exhaust affects now. Reduced damage
how
by 50%.
Are they necessarily going to handle that Jax, is what I'm curious about.
I think at this point, they're going to have a lot of trouble, obviously, but I think they don't have to kill him immediately because they have the Wither. I mean, in a perfect world, hopefully Vi Q and then followed by an ultimate from Vi would do enough damage to start the burst, and everyone else can help and silence him and keep him locked down and then kill him out. But if they're not able to kill him, the Wither will reduce his damage a lot, and they do have the exhaust, which is I can almost assure you is going to be used on Jax, because there's no one else who's really that big of a threat. So we'll see how it goes through, but there's just a lot of scalings everywhere in this game. So I imagine it to go to a late game. I don't see anyone with a hyper-aggressive early champ here. Vi is pretty much the only one who's going to be trying to make plays early, but she did receive some nerfs recently. And then in 2 patches ago or 3 patches ago. So
Yeah.
not quite as much damage.
I don't really think, however much they nerf Vi, as long as she has her ultimate at 6, she's going to be a threat in the game, especially around the 6. If she can snowball at least one lane at 6, Vi is just... She does her job, and she does it extremely well.
Yeah, she's definitely still got a lot of power. She got nerfed. She's not dead. She was so good before that you could still nerf her, and she's still viable. That's how good she was. But we get a blue star from Maokai, pretty standard, just stacking up the saplings. It's not Earth, so we can't get about 6 in 10 seconds, sadly.
Yeah, unfortunately, where he just one-shots the blue buff at the start.
Yeah.
Or some other buff.
But basically, we have mirrored sides of the map starts for the junglers, opposite buffs, so they're going to end up on the same side after the buffs are completed, which means top lane might get pretty crazy. And I don't imagine mid lane to get crazy, because why are you... there's not a lot of kill potential there early on either side. And
Soraka already at the tower. I think she took 1 tower shot already. But she does have a health potion. She's going to have her heal probably pretty soon. But yeah, she's already shoving that lane extremely hard.
Yeah, so Orianna already having trouble to CSing a tower. No surprise there. Her autos don't do that much. She does have her slight passive early, but it's difficult to last in a tower like this. And
Orianna throwing some damage down, but Soraka's just going to heal it up real quick. Orianna's auto attack's very, very strong early on.
I mean, they scale incredibly well with her. It's a percentage of her ability power as well. So they'll scale into the late game, and they start to chunk, and they also do increased damage for each consecutive 1 up to 3 stacks. So if you're able to auto consistently, you'll do well.
We see pings going down. It was a blue ping, so Nasus is asking for assistance, but they do have that ward of Jax.
There's a gank mid.
Going back. Maokai. Oh, he's going extremely deep right here. Orianna going and throwing her ball. They don't get the damage down. They each take a tower shot each, so neither of them die, which is really good. But that's going to set Maokai back quite a bit.
Yeah, that's the problem with ganking Soraka. She's so hard to take down, and she didn't even have to use heal or flash. If she would have flashed the Maokai deep in there and silenced him, it could have been really bad. Or, I mean, Vi went top instead. If that was a counter gank, that would have been first blood. I'm almost positive. So
it looks like Vi's going to try and look, and it's going to get worded. Maybe she got spotted. She goes ahead and throws in the punch, doesn't get anything. In the bot lane, we see Kaylin and Thresh pushing up extremely hard right here, which is to be expected. Alistar's a little bit weak early on, so he doesn't provide a lot of power unless they go in.
Yeah, and Kaylin has a lot more wave clear. Does she have 2 points in her Peacemaker? I would imagine she does. She would. Yeah,
2
okay.
points.
So she didn't get the net, which is surprising. The net is really good at escaping ganks and doing the EQ combo where you net and then Q them while they're slowed from the net. But the traps will give you a little bit more lane presence because it's a zoning tool that prevents your enemies from walking into a certain area. So you can kind of like make a line with them.
Maokai's going to go and he flashes and uses the W right away. Soraka throws down the heal. Orianna's throwing the auto attacks, and first blood goes to Orianna in the mid lane.
Yeah, they're really abusing the Soraka early. That's probably the right call. She's pretty squishy, and she scales really well into late game, so if you just let her shove the tower and permafarm, then she will be a bit of an issue. But Orianna's now ahead in CS, and Raka picked up another Doran's Ring, so that's probably what she needs to be doing. Get a little more tank in there so you don't get bursted out quite as easily. Probably should have just flashed as soon as possible there. Maokai would have been under tower and couldn't have really walked in front. And
well, he flashed in and W'd immediately.
Oh yeah, no, you would have had to be ready for that one, and Maokai was going hard right there.
Her ward did end a little bit early, so she didn't see that Maokai come in. I think the flash from Maokai was a little bit premature too. He was in W range from the bush.
Yeah, you just wanted to get the root on as soon as possible, and it does root when you get there, not when you cast it. So the way he did it made it difficult to flash, as you mentioned.
We see them both going back. Orianna picking up a Chalice very early. That's going to give her a lot of early sustain. Soraka pushing this wave incredibly hard. And this whole wave is going to get pushed under tower.
So they're zoning off a bot lane. Because the Alistar is so weak in the early game and Caitlyn has so much range on Ezreal, her auto attacks, I believe, have almost 150 extra range on Ezreal's, and he only gets his range from his Q. But he's not even using Qs, he's just choosing to farm, let the wave push and farm under tower. So he's getting out CS pretty hard as of right now.
We saw pings in the top lane. Maokai's going to head there, but we might see a gank in the mid lane. Vi's going to try and come around here, but with Soraka pushing very so hard, I think this is a telltale sign. She has her ult. Vi comes in for the gank. They're not going to be able to finish her off. She flashes out and gets away. Meanwhile, on the top, we see Jax going in with the counter-strike. Maokai uses his thing to knock back Nasus. Nasus uses his ult. Can they finish it off? Jax might have another leap strike, but they're going to just go ahead and let it go. They do bait the Nasus ult. His teleport is still up, so I was going to say his flash was baited, but he doesn't have flash. But
yeah, so the gank on Ori mid that's the correct direction to come from right there. You saw she was pushing beyond that little wall there,
and
that's when
again.
you just come behind as the jungler and force a free flash. Ori had to pop flash or she was dead there. So good escape by Ori though, and Nasus as well. The teleport, he's got the ignite down from Jax, so he's just going to teleport up and continue to stack his Q.
Throws down the Wither. Jax is still just focusing on farming here. Goes ahead and leap strikes to the back minion wave, and he's going to be able to walk out. He might go back, pick up a few items, and then come back to lane. Okay. They do get the death sentence on Alistar. They're going to get a little bit of poke. Caitlyn gets 2 auto attacks on him. Doesn't get her passive auto attack on him, but still throwing a little bit of damage out on Alistar.
And Nasus was able to get the Glacial Shroud, so he's going to have more Q stacks because his Q comes off cooldown quicker, and he's going to be a bit more harder to push out of lane there in top lane, so that's really good for him. Jax is going for what looks like to be a Blade of the Rune King, which I don't entirely agree with. I feel like Triforce probably would be the better start there because he's going to wither you, so the Blade of the Rune King is going to, like the extra damage is going to be negligible. When the Trinity Force, all you do is jump on him and you get 200% AD.
Yeah, and with the Blade of the Rune King too, I feel like a lot of people get it. They think when they imagine Nasus, they think of a really tanky guy. So the current health hit from Blade of the Rune King, people probably think of a lot. But I agree, Nasus isn't necessarily building health at the start, so I don't quite agree with the Blade of the Rune King rush as well. I think Trinity would give him a little bit more burst at the start, and then he could transition to a Blade of the Rune King once Nasus transitions into some health items.
So bot lane hasn't backed at all yet. They're both happy to just sit here and farm. I'm assuming they're getting close, if not already have the BF swords on both sides. Yeah, Caitlyn has way more than enough, and Ezreal has enough for a BF and some boots. So I expect them to be pushing 1 or 2 more waves and going back. You really want to get that as soon as you can once you have enough gold, because there's no way you're going to save up for 3,000 without getting ganked.
Jax going in pretty heavy here, throwing down a lot of damage on Nasus there, but they're going to go ahead and just back out.
The Bilgewater does give you a lot of good chasing power, and since the Ghost is down from Nasus for, I think, another 30 seconds or so, it will prevent him from being able to really get close enough to the minions, because there's that threat of the Jax all in, and you don't want to die to Jax because that can snowball really fast.
And it looks like he's just building up a minion wave right here. Nasus should be able to farm this pretty comfortably under tower. Orianna looking to roam. Oh, she's just placing a ward, maybe trying to catch out Vi a little bit early. Vi a little bit early.
Vi has just been hard farming. She's just now backing.
For the first time.
For the first time, yeah. So we'll see what she gets. I don't expect her to go Flare, even though she's been farming like she's a Flare jungler. So let's see what she buys. Alright, straight up Golem. No, not really deciding.
She sells it back.
Sells it back. Not really sure. I think maybe deciding to go with the Lizard here.
We see a lot of pings going down the bot lane. Looks like Maokai is going to be coming in for a gank. This ward is here, but it might run out by the time he actually gets here. They might catch him just on the tail end of it. But anyway, like I was saying in the mid lane, when Soraka isn't actively pushing the lane or anything like that, it should be a telltale sign for Orianna that a gank is imminent.
Yeah, when a lane opponent changes their playstyle like that.
Maokai, very smart right here, coming in through the back right here. They don't have it pinged, or they don't have it warded. Maokai is coming. They're pinging very hard. They see him through the minion wave. They're going to go for Thresh right here. This should be an easy kill. They do get the pulverized. Ezreal's going to go ahead and use his ult right there. Get up with this ult.
Yeah, they made the perfect call going for Thresh there. If you go for Caitlyn, they're just gonna.
Orianna doing a lot of damage. Oh, she's gonna use her ult. She picks up the kill in the mid lane.
Yeah, if you go for Thresh there, or if you go for Caitlyn, Thresh is just gonna lantern her out. So instead, you just go for the Thresh, and that way he can't lantern himself out, and that's a free kill. Yeah, Vi sat in Fountain for about a minute. I noticed that as well. I was waiting for her to buy an item, and I'm like, well, I guess the waning is just gonna. We're not gonna talk about this anymore. Let's just move on. But she is building that golem. She just wanted the boots. It looks like.
Jax still throwing out. Jax is winning on farm here. It's to be expected. We're about hitting the early mid game right here. This is where Jax is probably going to have a little bit more of an advantage over Nasus. Nasus is still not quite tanky enough to deal with this. Still has decently good wave clear. He should be able to farm comfortably under turret. But if a gang were to come up with Maokai, they should be able to pick up a kill on Nasus. No problem here.
Shouldn't be too much of an issue. I'm trying to decide if Nasus is going to be going with the Iceborne Gauntlets or the Frozen Heart. I imagine Frozen Heart because that's just really good against Jax, especially a team with. They're honestly not that attack speed reliant beyond that. The Ezreal doesn't rely on much attack speed, but the Iceborns aren't really gonna. They're not super cost efficient. They're good for the slow, but against Jax, I mean, it's in lane. You're gonna just. It's not gonna be enough. You spend a lot of gold for that 125% damage, but it's not gonna help you when he just live steals it all back with the Blade of the Rune King. So we'll see where he goes with that. I hope he ends up buying something else and doesn't finish that, honestly.
And we're going to see maybe our first pink ward kill of the game, right in the middle right here. And it looks like they're going to try and group up for maybe an invade or an early dragon. I think it's a little bit early to be going in on this blue. The blue doesn't really spawn until closer to 13 minutes, I think. Or they could be going for an early dragon fight. The thing here is Jax is going to have to watch for Nasus right here. If he can leap strike and counter strike the teleport from Nasus, he can block it, right, with the stun.
Yeah, you can stun Nasus out of it. So hopefully Jax holds on to his cooldowns here. In a situation like this, if you're playing as a team, you just say, "Be ready to leap strike, save your stun." And because we're about to set up for Dragon here, and we don't want to get 5v forward. So hopefully they're communicating that to Jax. Although Nasus might die here. Yep.
It looks like Jax picked up a kill.
So that's really big. He can't teleport in for 26 seconds, but it doesn't look like either team is really going to make the move for Dragon.
If Jax goes in and puts a lot of pressure on this tower right here, he might be able to force the Nasus teleport to the tower.
There's no one near top. I would expect Nasus to teleport in here. They might be like, well, Jax doesn't have TP anyway, so just go top and try not to die again.
Yeah, we see just a lot of wards around in the Dragon area too. So it doesn't look like either team wants to make a move on it yet. So I think Nasus is pretty safe. Yep, he's going to go ahead and use the teleport top. So Jax should communicate to his team that teleport's down, and then Jax should look for a roaming opportunity mid somewhere for some early Dragon control.
They would be good to proxy one wave here for Jax and then just go bot. I mean, he might actually have enough for Blade of the Rune King. He probably does. Which is really important to get that before the dragon fight.
Orianna really turning this lane around here. She uses the ult. Can she get one more auto attack? She does throw down the ignite. Soraka forced to use her ult. Is the ignite going to take her down? No, but we do see Maokai and Vi both coming in here. Oh my gosh, Vi going to get taken down by Orianna. Wow. A counter gank followed by a counter gank.
Get it, yeah. Little greedy on trying to take care of the Orianna there. Picks up a free kill and the double buffs, which is pretty big on Ori. Ori does use a lot of auto attacks, so the red buff can get maximum effectiveness, and obviously blue buff is just fantastic.
Yeah, she already had the blue buff too when she was taking down that Soraka, so just a refresh on here is just going to increase her power too. And early on we saw Soraka was ahead pretty far on farm, but Orianna's really turning this lane around.
Yep, 3-0, hard farmed Orianna is very scary. She scales so well into the lane.
Jax wants this. He uses the Blade of the Rune King, but he's just going to go ahead and farm this back up. He should be able to heal this back up, no problem. With a Doran's Blade and a Blade of the Rune King, he should be able to lifesteal the waves, no problem. And we do see Nasus with the Frozen Heart early.
Yeah, so he did rush the Frozen Heart, which is okay against Blade of the Rune King. But Jax also does a lot of magic damage with his ultimate and his W.
A double ward right here, both mid laners.
It's not perfectly efficient because you have no extra health, but it does let you stack your Q faster because of that extra cooldown reduction. 20%'s a lot, especially at 15 minutes into the game.
And Soraka gonna go ahead and pick up that blue buff right there. We see Jax roaming. He might have got spotted by that ward. I don't. No. Yeah, he should have gotten spotted by that. So they do know he's around here somewhere. He's looking just kind of to dirty farm a little bit, keep Vi from jungling and farming her white over there. Really just trying to get an even more of an edge in that top lane.
Almost mirror builds here from our ADCs. There's an extra Doran's Blade for Ezreal because he was able to get a kill in bot lane on Thresh. But They're both going to be scaling really hard in the late game. They're both farming really hard. So we'll see what happens here. Jax is also getting huge. Honestly, all the 3 carries on Purple Team are pretty darn big.
All right, they're going to get spotted out by that ward right there. Maokai's going in. He is speeded up by the ball. Caitlyn goes ahead and throws down a trap. They might even try. They could go for a dive if they wanted to. But Soraka's going to roam. But it's kind of a juke. Oriana's going back mid, and it might be a 4v3 down here.
Yeah, they don't have a ward
No
to try.
wards. And what is Ooh, I think Maokai wanted to go in that bush. And they do ahead and use the sweeper just to make sure. Alistair! Oh my gosh. Okay, he does throw the ward there. Oh, but he's in a tough spot. He goes ahead and has to use his ultimate. Steps on a Caitlyn try. Vi uses her all on Ezreal. Ezreal already used his arcane shift. He can't get out, but he does get exhausted. He's going to be able to walk out. Ooh, the death sentence on Alistair's going to go ahead and pick him up. Maokai coming in, trying to save Ezreal right there.
Good pickup on a first kill there. Alistar was going to ward, and they waited for it, and he popped his ultimate a little early there. Because if you ultimate and then you flash, you're getting out of the damage range, but you just popped your ultimate to block the, or like reduce the damage, so you're kind of wasting it there. You either flash or you ultimate first. One or the other.
Yeah, and what was funny too is Alistair actually flashed onto a Caitlyn trap, which was very unfortunate. He probably would have gotten away had he flashed over it.
Yeah, a little quick there and a little flustered.
Kind of a little bit of a desperation move. We've all done it before, though.
No, it's happened. I've definitely flashed on a Caitlyn trap before.
And it looks like there were some pings for a dragon, but they're going to go in here. She can't take the lantern. Oh, they bait Maokai in!
And that was the
she uses the shield on him. He's going to go down from the tower. There's no way he's going to live through that.
That was such a good bait. He wanted it, and then Caitlyn was just
sitting there just waiting for the lantern. She was like, "Come at me, bro."
That was well played, and Maokai probably not going to make that mistake again.
I hope not.
He facepalmed after that one. He was like, "Oh man, I thought about it, but I didn't think she would actually do it."
And that wasn't the first time too that we see kind of a late decision to go in on his W right there. Because you remember the first gank in the mid lane, he W'd right under tower too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was a little bit late.
That's one of the problems with Maokai is you got to be careful. You can put yourself into really bad situations. It's exactly like the Vi ulti. I mean, if people flash or take your lantern like that, you're gonna be chasing them for a while, and if it goes under tower with a Thresh there, you're not gonna want to be there. How many stacks do we have on Nasus?
We have
300. No,
30.
Yeah, 336.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah, definitely. So even though he's against a hard scaling Jax, I mean, he's gonna be doing some of his own work in top lane.
And Nasus starting to trying to even out the lane a little bit now. He hasn't gone back since he's had his Frozen Heart. He's probably sitting on a lot of gold, 2,000 gold. I expect him to pick up a lot of items when he goes back. Jack's sitting on 2,000 as well too. And we see about 1,000 gold lead in Jack's at the top lane right there. Caitlyn throwing a lot of damage on Ezreal right there. Ooh, but he steps on a trap. His head shot up. It is up. But Alistair could easily block that. She does have a Bloodthirster and a pickaxe, so if she wanted to use it, she probably could on him. Alistair clearing out some wards right here. He needs to get over by Ezreal, because if he takes one shot of poke, and then all she has to do is pop her ult, and then he's gone.
Yeah, that probably could have been a Q ult combo right there, but yeah, she has so much damage
right there.
Right
here
now.
It is. Here's the kill. Oh my gosh, it was so close.
Yeah, that's 20 health.
Maokai coming in again. He's going to get...
No, he's not going to get pulled in this time, I don't think, but Oriana...
They get only her ult on one. They're going to throw... Caitlyn throwing a lot of damage. They get the death sentence on Maokai. Alistair going ham right now. Throws his ult on. Maokai going back in with his W. They're trying to poke him down, but they just don't have the damage. They're all too low. They can't go in on that.
Yeah, the Soraka roam came too late after the Oriana roam, and she was able to help with the tower dive. Oriana, great for tower diving because you can just shield whoever's taking the damage. They get the extra armor and the shield. Yeah. And now Nasus is 1v1ing Jax and picks up a red buff.
He did have a little bit of help from Vi. Vi came in, gave her life, but...
Oh, yeah, okay. That makes more sense then.
It was a gank gone wrong, but it was kind of a 1-for-1. He gets the turret. Alistair going in. Oh, Maokai going in with his W. They knocks back both of them. Alistair still doing damage. Ezreal still throwing at the poke. Oriana very low in the back right there. We see a teleport coming in. Oh! In the words of Kobe, that teleport sucked, man.
So blue team getting a little antsy there, trying to make a play for the dragon. They didn't even have a jungler there because their jungler just died top. Purple team's like, they don't even have a jungler. What are they doing? Let's all just go and engage on that. So they picked up a free Soraka kill, prevented the dragon. A little too quick on switching over to dragon there from blue team. They didn't even have the mana advantage there. Gonna have to make a little better decisions there if they want to come out. But I think they're really feeling the pressure here. Purple team's got the kill advantage. They see the scores 8-3. And they were just trying to make something happen.
Yeah.
So I think that bodes well for purple team. And if you can put the other team on tilt, that's always a good way to get things started.
All right, we're almost 22 minutes in. We see about a 2,000 gold lead for purple team. 8-3, even in turrets. The first dragon still up. No one has... We've seen a lot of ward coverage around dragon, but really no team has decided to go for it yet. And that might be because we haven't had really a decisive fight yet where people can pick it up after a team fight.
Yeah, and
Nass
is teleported down.
Right.
Vi's coming up for a gank. And it looks like it's going to be pretty bad.
Jack's surely going to go down here.
Yeah,
there's really nothing
no
he can do. He might be able to take down Vi.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, Zach!
Jack.
Jax takes him down. I don't know why I keep saying Zach.
The Soraka ult came in a little late there. Probably could have saved Vi, in all
We
honesty.
see Maokai going in. Orianna using her ult. Soraka's surely going to go down. Orianna 5-0. This is going to be a very scary Orianna when team fights happen because she's going to be most of that burst damage if she gets a really good ultimate off. They're pinging down the bottom lane. They want this turret. They want this Thresh. It's 4v1. He is gone. There's no way he's going to get out. Look at the damage just from that. Maokai throwing in the W on Caitlyn. Caitlyn uses her trap to get out. They go ahead and take down Thresh. Do they have another engage on Orianna? Oh my gosh, she's doing so much damage.
I've been in that situation. Just running for your life as Caitlyn versus their whole team. She's doing the best she can, and I respect that. But another thing to note is that Orianna's huge, right? And then that means that her shields are going to be even bigger. And on top of a Jax, who's going to be getting close to a Trinity Force Blade of the Ruin King at 25 minutes, that's extremely scary for blue team. And I don't think they really have a way to deal with it. You know, as we mentioned earlier, they have the Wither. But anything beyond that, they just don't bring enough damage. Caitlyn is going to have to be the hero here.
Nasus doesn't have enough mana for a Wither. Jax should be able to chase this. He won't have Blade the Ruin King for a little bit, but with one more, he should be able to Leap Strike, Counter Strike at the very end. With one more Leap Strike, Nasus is going to go down. And he goes and picks up the kill. This should be a free tower. They do lose their top tower here, but in exchange, Purple Team did take the Dragon too. So Purple Team still having the gold advantage. And they might go in on Soraka. Ezreal, Arcane shifting right in. Vi goes in, only hits the Ezreal. Alistair missing the pulverize after the headbutt. We've all done that too, I'm sure. But that could have gone very south very quickly.
Yeah, the Soraka pick isn't really working out for them at this point. When your team's behind, Soraka doesn't really do much because you're healing targets that aren't really doing enough. But if they can get a stronger front line and let Caitlyn sit in the back, she's actually surprisingly big. And she could probably win them some team fights if they can get Nasus to take all the damage, Soraka spam healing, and Caitlyn raining terror from the back. But it's just so hard to deal from a deal with a 420 Jax and a 601 Orianna.
Yeah, look at the gold difference just between the mid laners. Soraka 0-4 and Orianna 6-1. Soraka only sitting on a Chalice, and Orianna more than enough to finish Rabadon's, and as well get like another blasting one or something too. Orianna is just so far ahead right now.
Yeah.
This Soraka is really kind of being turned into a support Soraka, if anything. She just doesn't have the gold right now.
Yeah, she could start making her Rylai's, and I feel like that's probably the move. There's nothing else you can really build on Raka early that's going to do as much for your team, because the Rylai's will allow you to help kite back with the Caitlyn and just try and shoot from the back. That's really what you need to go for here. AP is not going to help you as much as the AoE slow, and you can also just pop your E, silence, and slow at the same time. It's kind of like, it prevents a lot of damage. I mean, they can't use abilities and they can't really get in range if they're melee, so it works pretty well on the silence. And yeah, it looks like she's going for the Rylai. She got the Giant's Belt and Sorcerer Shoes.
That is going to help her last a little bit longer in team fights. But this Orianna is just so scary right now.
Yeah, how much AP is that? 375 at 25 minutes. Yeah, that's going to hurt a lot.
Yeah, the Rabadons. She's probably going to go for Void Staff next, and Nasus and Vi really only ones with any kind of magic resist. Yeah, you see the Athenes and Holy Grail too, but even with the Void Staff, she is going to hurt. They use the sweeper, but they don't catch out the ward because it's in the front of the wave right here. It looks like they're going to go for a dive maybe on this tower. Oriana's looking to roam a little bit, but Nasus needs to just back out. He cannot defend this. Even with the Thresh there, Thresh isn't going to do much. They do throw the ward in that Triarch there. They do spot Thresh. They're going to go ahead and back out. Caitlyn making a rotation over here. Meanwhile, we see in the mid lane, Oriana and Ezreal shoving this. It looks like they're going to go for a 3-2 push right here and try and force the two inner turrets, top and mid.
Yeah, this is a good play here because if all your solo laners are stronger, then you can force people into these situations where they can't duel Oriana Ezreal mid. Well, it looks like they're actually just going to group here as well.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to see 5. I know they see Oriana in the bot lane too because they had bot lane pushing too. They should dive this. Absolutely they should. With 4v5, Vi doesn't have a teleport or anything like that. Nasus should be the one in the bot lane right now, but unfortunately they don't. Oriana throwing quite a lot of damage, taking quite a bit from Caitlyn as well. Oh my gosh, Caitlyn taking so much poke, but then she's just instantly healed by Soraka back to full, but that does force the cooldown. Oriana taking a lot of damage. We see Ezreal going in, Caitlyn extremely low.
Yeah, I think Oriana should have just ulted there. I think that would have been a kill on Caitlyn.
They do get the death sentence on Jax. They don't decide to go in with it.
They don't want that.
He
death
pulverizes, or no, he headbutts into a Caitlyn trap and he's forced to use his ult. That's a big cooldown for Alistar. They use the Caitlyn ultimate on Alistar, but with the shield, and they have it warded. Nasus, what are you doing? It's still, they're going to try and fight this. Vi's nowhere near this at all. There's a lot of stuff. Great shockwave goes in and knocks. Oh, and Vi using her ult in on Orion. They're going to try and finish her off. Ezreal, arcane shifts over the wall into Soraka and Caitlyn. Caitlyn goes ahead and takes them down. They're turning this fight around!
Caitlyn didn't get touched, and that's what I was talking about.
They're going to be able to finish off that. That's going to be spam wither. Nasus has that blue buff. There's no way Maokai's going to get away from that. Soraka's the only one that's chasing this cow. Who's going to win the barnyard battle between the goat and the cow? It looks like Soraka's going to be able to pick this one up. Oh my gosh!
Oh, wrong direction.
No! And he talismans out. He's going to be able, if he gets spotted, he's going to get spotted by a ward.
Soraka's just going to chase forever. No. Wow.
Oh no.
He gets out.
She's not going to chase for that?
Nope.
That's a free kill.
Baron.
Okay, I guess that's a smart.
Yeah,
the Baron is definitely worth more than the.
Instead of pushing on that tower, purple team could have instead just have done the Baron because you said Vi was bot, so it was a 4v5. They would have been able to peel off the Baron and fight if the enemy team did come. But instead, they made the decision to get a little too close to that tower and.
With the Baron steal!
Wow, I was gonna say something, but now it doesn't even matter. Wow, what a snipe! Not getting the smite off there, I guess. Smiting a little early. That's rough. Purple team back ahead in this game.
Oh my gosh! That. And just like that, they're back in.
And they all get the Baron buff too.
Every single one of them does.
Oh my.
They're gonna be able to just. It's like that team fight didn't even happen at all. They're gonna be able to force objectives now with this Baron buff. They're gonna be able to get back the gold lead that they had. They easily pick up that tower. They have the Baron and they have the superior poke comp. There's no way that they're not gonna be able to get this tower.
Oh, now
it looks like they're going in. A double shockwave on Thresh and Nasus. And this is going to clean up Nasus.
This could be game.
Oh, he flashes for the counter-strike. They get the heal on Caitlyn.
Oh, okay. So 3 of them do live. It probably won't end up being game here.
Oh, Maokai's going to go down to turret. Oh, they do pick up the turret just in time.
That's a free inhib.
Oh, Caitlyn. Oriana taking a lot of damage. She does get the shield off. Vi wants to go in, but she then goes out. Oh, the Peacemaker didn't quite get it. Ezreal still going. Ezreal, you need to get out of there. Yeah. Oh, Vi using ultimate, they're going in, but she gets pulverized immediately and then headbutted away.
So good.
Alistar could not have played that any more perfectly.
Yep, so they should just make a safe call, maybe clear the jungle and pick up Dragon. They got the inhib, just go back, spend your money, and heal back up.
And they're going to get the Dragon too. This is going to give them a lot of experience, a lot of gold. So they pick up the Dragon and the Baron. And look at this huge wave that Jax is about to get. He has to be, they're all sitting on over 1,000 gold right now. Yep. This is huge.
It's an 8k gold lead at this point. It was a lot closer before, but having picked up that Baron, they were able to force 2 mid towers, take the inhibitor, take Dragon, take red, take blue. Their enemy's red, that is. And so now they're just all swimming in gold, and they still have Baron for another 2 minutes.
Wow.
And Jax has his core items, and it looks like he's probably going to go for a Randuin's because Caitlyn is the most fed on the enemy team.
Easily he's going to go for a Randuin's. He's going to be in the middle of the fight, so even just popping the Randuin's not necessarily for the attack speed, but even just the movement speed slow. That's going to help a lot with their team.
Yeah, I think the Randuin's active is only movement speed slow.
Oh, the attack
so.
speed, yeah.
The attack speed's on auto attacks, yeah. But if you look at Oriana's items, she not only got the Void Staff, but also got a Needless.
She's going to go for Zonius, too.
So, yeah. So she's just going to be insta-killing, and if their team
Ezreal
gets hit by a 3 or 4 man ulti, it's just an instant team fight win.
Ezreal picked up an Infinity Edge, but then decided to sell it, picks up a Last Whisper and a BF Sword instead. I think that's a smart choice. I think Infinity Edge, it's good on any AD carry. Ezreal definitely is more flexible in his AD carry builds with he can get like Trinity Force and stuff like that. I definitely agree with the Last Whisper earlier, because you see Randuin's and Frozen Heart on Nasus. You see another Randuin's coming up on Vi pretty soon, and she also has... Does this give armor anymore? No, it doesn't.
No.
I thought it did, but apparently that changed.
Yeah, they did recently change that. I don't know how I feel about that Ezreal build. His Qs can't crit, so I don't really like the Infinity Edge.
Maokai going in, they're throwing a lot of damage. Nasus forced to use his ult right away. He's going to go in for that Orianna. They do get the Pulverize on. Nasus is going to go down. Meanwhile, they're zoning this Caitlyn. Jack's throwing so much damage after Vi uses her ultimate. Three-man Shockwave gets all of Jack's still going in, picks up the kill on Caitlyn, and they're still going in. Maokai can't W in. Orianna picking up. She's doing so much damage, and Jax picks up the last kill with his Leap Strike. Either there's going to be a Surrender Vote, or they're going to get this tower. No problem.
They should just shove down on the
it's a 5-man ace.
Nexus towers. There's no reason to kill that. But either way, I mean, there's the Jags and Orianna we were talking about the whole game, and they got ahead early, and there you go. They'll just the 3-man Orianna ulti just ends the game pretty much there.
Wow.
Jack's able to clean up pretty easily. GG, purple team, well played.
Just like that, purple team picks up the kill. We saw as the game got longer, those team fights just went right into their favor. And MVP of that game, Israel with that Baron steal.
Oh man, that was beautiful.
That turned the game. I mean, they were already ahead, but they had just lost a pretty demoralizing team fight. But with that Baron steal, instantly they come back.